Good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Gauri Bankar, Assistant Professor in Department of Ophthalmology. Today, we will be discussing diseases of sclera. So, sclera is a Greek word, scleros, which means hard. It is opaque, elastic, and resilient tissue of the eye. It comprises 90% of outer tunic of the eye and 10% being the cornea. Anteriorly, it begins at limbus and terminates at the optic canal. It is white in color. Humans are the only primates with white sclera. It is 1 millimeter, that is the thickest, near the optic nerve, and 0.3 millimeter, that is thinnest, at the extraocular muscle insertions. Collagen bundles are of varying size and irregularly arranged. That is why sclera is not transparent. Sclera is composed of collagen bundles, elastic fibers, fibroblasts, and ground substances, the proteoglycans and glycoproteins. Lamina cribrosa is sieve-like sclera from which fibers of the optic nerve pass. Sclera contains passages through which the arteries, veins, and nerves pass. A thin, densely vascularized layer of connective tissue covers the sclera and is called as episclera. Episclera lies below the Tenon's capsule. Anteriorly, episclera blends with Tenon's capsule 1 to 3 mm behind the limbus. Episclera receives its blood supply from anterior ciliary arteries, long and short posterior ciliary arteries. Coming to the functions of sclera, the main function is protection of intraocular contents from trauma and mechanical displacement. Preservation of shape of the eyeball. Third function is maintenance of exact position of different parts of optical system. And fourth is rigid insertion for extraocular muscles. Coming to classification of scleral inflammation. So scleral inflammations can be divided as episcleritis and scleritis. Coming to episcleritis, it can be nodular or diffuse. Scleritis can be divided as anterior and posterior scleritis. In case of anterior scleritis, there are two types, necrotizing and non-necrotizing. Necrotizing can be with inflammation or without inflammation, and non-necrotizing can be diffuse or nodular. Episcleritis, it begins recurrent inflammation of episclera involving the overlying Tenon's capsule but not the underlying sclera. Incidence is more common in young male adults than females. The etiology is unknown but commonly associated with gout and rosacea. It is also considered as hypersensitivity reaction to endogenous tubercular or streptococcal toxins. Clinical features. Coming to symptoms, redness persists for 3 to 4 days and it may resolve. Redness is seen in exposed zone of the eyeball. Mild ocular discomfort described as gritty, burning or foreign body sensation can be seen. On examination, presence of inflamed episcleral vessels which radiate from the limbus. They have salmon pink color. Can be moved over the deep sclera. They usually blanch with phenylephrine. Edema and congestion of overlying Tenon's capsule and conjunctiva can also be seen. So these are two types, diffuse and nodular. Diffuse, where the whole eye may be involved to some extent. The maximum inflammation is confined to 1 or 2 quadrants. In case of nodular type, a pink or purple flat nodule surrounded by injection is seen, which is usually 2 to 3 mm away from the limbus. The nodule is firm, tender, and the overlying conjunctiva moves freely. Treatment part. The course is limited and resolves within 10 days to 3 weeks. Recurrences are common. Topical treatment consists of NSAID eye drops, that is non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, or corticosteroid eye drops 4 hourly. Cold compresses applied to the closed lid. Systemic NSAIDs like flubiprofen or indomethacin or oxyfenbutazone can be given. In case of nodular, systemic steroids may be required. Next is scleritis. The scleritis is severe inflammation of scleral tissue. It is very painful and is characterized by edema and cellular infiltration of the sclera and episclera. It may cause significant threat to the vision if not treated properly and in the time. Females are more affected than males in the 5th decade. Causes of scleritis. First is idiopathic. It is due to specific antigen towards collagen or glycosaminoglycan, the ground substance of sclera. It is type 4 delayed type of hypersensitivity reaction. Systemic collagen vascular diseases or rheumatic disorders. Scleritis is manifestation of a life-threatening systemic autoimmune disease. It is due to vascular involvement which results from deposition of circulating immune complexes in superficial and deeper episcleral vessels. Infectious causes. Endogenous spread of microorganisms can give rise to scleral infection. Neurotropic viruses like HSV can invade scleral nerves and cause scleral inflammation. Other causes can be surgery-induced scleritis. It is serious complication of ocular surgery. It is intense scleral inflammation associated with necrosis near the site of incision and peripheral ulcerative keratitis. It has a poor prognosis with chances of scleral perforation. Drug-induced scleritis, biphosphonates, then erlotinib hydrochloride, procainamide can cause scleral inflammation which can be managed with NSAID, and discontinuation of drug will lead to subsidation of the scleritis symptoms. Clinical features. First is redness, watering, pain. Onset is gradual and extending over the several days. Ocular pain is severe, dull and boring, which is exacerbated by eye movements. Pain worsens at night and tenderness of globe is seen. The pain radiates to ear, scalp, face, temples and jaw. There is scleral edema, congestion of deep scleral vessels with violaceous hue. When we examine under red-free light, it helps to determine pattern and depth and engorgement. The vessels over the inflamed area cannot be moved and cannot be blanched with 10% of phenylephrine. Coming to grading of scleritis. Scleritis can be graded from 0 to 4. In 0 grading, there is no scleral inflammation with complete blanching of vessel. Then 0.5 grading, trace inflammation with minimally dilated deep episcleral vessels. In grade 1, mild scleral inflammation with diffuse mild dilatation of deep episcleral vessels. In grade 2, moderate scleral inflammation with tortuous and engorged deep episcleral vessels are seen. In grade 3, severe scleral inflammation with diffuse significant redness of sclera and obscuration of deep episcleral vessels with edema and erythema are seen. In case of grade 4, necrotizing scleritis with or without scleral show. Coming to nodular scleritis. Nodular scleritis is characterized by localized area of scleral edema and congestion of scleral vessels. Scleral nodule is deep red to purple in color. It is immobile, tender on palpation. It can be separated from the overlying episcleral tissue. All the vascular layers overlying the nodule are displaced forwards. lack of necrosis within the nodule. Coming to the treatment, topical treatment consists of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug, topical steroids, systemic indomethacin 100 milligram daily for a day and then 75 milligram daily until the inflammation resolves. Analgesic can be added if needed, and systemic steroids can be used in severe stages. Next is necrotizing scleritis with inflammation. It is a very serious and carries potential threat to the vision. It is seen in the association with rheumatoid arthritis, and in 60% of cases it is bilateral. Severe pain and tenderness out of proportion to the inflammatory signs is commonly seen in case of necrotizing scleritis. It is due to vasculitis secondary to immune complex deposition and shutdown of episcleral vascular bed. As you can see in the picture, wide avascular area of localized scleral edema and congestion can be seen. The edges of lesions are more inflamed than the center. Gradually, the underlying uveal tissue is seen as the sclera becomes thin and translucent. So, in this picture, you can see the underlying uveal tissue, which is seen through the thinner sclera, which has become thin and translucent. Treatment. First line of treatment is oral prednisolone 60 to 120 milligram daily for 2 to 3 days. Immunosuppressive agents like cyclophosphamide, azathioprine, cyclosporin or combined therapy can be used. IV methylprednisolone 500 to 1000 milligram plus cyclophosphamide 500 milligram can be used. Next is necrotizing scleritis without inflammation. It is necrotizing scleritis without inflammation. It is also known as scleromalacia perforans, seen in long-standing rheumatoid arthritis. It is vision-threatening condition. There are minimal signs of inflammation and absence of pain. Blurring of vision due to astigmatism induced by scleral thinning and distortion of the globe can be seen. The sclera progressively thins and underlying dark uveal tissue becomes visible. Staphylomas develop, which staphylomas we'll discuss in next coming slides, and eyes are susceptible to rupture. Investigations like TLC, DLC, total leukocyte count, differential leukocyte count, and ESR are done. Serum levels of complement C3, immune complexes, rheumatoid factor, anti-nuclear antibodies, and LE cells for the immunological survey. FTA, ABS, VDRL for syphilis. Serum uric acid to rule out gout, urine analysis, Montauk test, X-ray of chest, paranasal sinuses, sacroiliac joint and orbit to rule out foreign body, especially in patient with nodular scleritis. Treatment. First is steroids, topical and systemic, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, immunosuppressive drug like methotrexate started with low dose like 2.5 milligram per week and can be increased as needed up to 25 milligram per week. Azathioprine 1.5 milligram per kg per day once a day. Mycophenolate mofetil 1000 milligram per day. The side effects are many and WBC and platelet count, liver functions has to be monitored periodically. Coming to complications of scleritis, first is scleral thinning, staphyloma formation, corneal thinning, scleral rupture or perforation, glaucoma, uveitis, phthisis bulbi, and cataract. Blue sclera. It is an asymptomatic condition, generalized blue discoloration of sclera due to thinning. Causes can be osteogenesis imperfecta, Marfan syndrome, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, pseudoxanthoma elasticum, ophthalmos, high myopia, and healed scleritis. Coming to staphyloma. Staphyloma is a clinical condition characterized by an ectasia, that is bulging of the outer coats like cornea or sclera or both. of the eye with incarceration of uveal tissue within it. So pathology, it is a weakening of the sclera caused by inflammatory or degenerative diseases involving these structures. These are accompanied by increased intraocular pressure. So staphyloma can be classified depending upon the site. First is anterior staphyloma, intercalary staphyloma, ciliary staphyloma, equatorial staphyloma, and posterior staphyloma. So in this picture you can see this is the anterior bulging, which is called as anterior staphyloma. This is intercalary staphyloma. The staphyloma formation at the limbus is a ciliary staphyloma. Then the staphyloma which are formed at the equator, equatorial staphyloma, and lastly the posterior staphyloma. Anterior staphyloma, it is associated with ectasia of cornea and iris. The most common cause is slaying of corneal ulcer, which perforates and heals with formation of pseudocornea by laying down the fibrous tissue. So it is internally lined by iris. The anterior chamber is flat with secondary glaucoma. Later, the anterior surface of the eye protrudes, forming anterior staphyloma. So here you can see this is the thinned out cornea, or might be a rupture corneal ulcer. There is pseudocornea formation by laying down of the fibrous tissue. Next is intercalary staphyloma. This is located at the limbus and lined by root of iris and anterior most part of ciliary body. It is seen externally from limbus to 2 mm behind the limbus. So position of the intercalary staphyloma is from limbus to 2 mm behind the limbus. The causes are perforating injuries, marginal corneal ulcers, scleromalacia perforans, and poor wound healing after surgery can also be a cause. Next is ciliary staphyloma. This affects the ciliary zone that extend 8 mm behind the limbus. So it is usually found in the area which extend from the limbus to 8 mm behind the limbus. Ciliary body is incarcerated with lobulated surface and bluish color. Causes can be trauma, scleritis, developmental glaucoma, end stage of primary or secondary glaucomas. Next is equatorial staphyloma. So the equatorial region is about 40 mm behind the limbus. So it occurs at equatorial region with incarceration of choroid. This is weak due to passage of vertex vein. As you know, the vertex vein are inserted at the equatorial region. So this type of staphyloma are weakest type. The causes are scleritis, degenerative myopia, chronic uncontrolled glaucoma can also be a cause. Next is posterior staphyloma. This affects the posterior pole and is lined by choroid. Causes are degenerative axial myopia is the most common cause. Ectatic portion is not visible and is detected on fundoscopy and B-scan or OCT. So the posterior staphylomas are usually not visible to the naked eye. So when we do a fundoscopy examination, we can see the posterior protrusion of the globe, and which can be confirmed on B-scan and OCTs. Thank you.